How's it, guys? Morning, and welcome back to the channel. I'm back in the Pilansberg and I'm at the Fish Eagle picnic spot again, and it's time for another Friday feature. So this morning's drive has actually been quite exciting. Went past quite a few rhinos, and we did get to see a lion on a giraffe carcass, so that was quite good. He wasn't too far into the bush, and the bush was burnt down around him, so we could actually reach him with the 200-600 lens and get some good shots. And I think that leads into the Friday feature for today. I just wanted to discuss the two lens options I use when I'm out in the bush and working on my wildlife photography. So if you visit my Instagram page, you'll see that I post mostly wildlife shots, and when it comes to wildlife shots, it's mostly birds as well. So the lenses I use are quite important, and I just wanted to give you a rundown of the two lenses that I do have and the pros and cons of each. So that if you are into wildlife yourself, it may help you make a choice on the lenses, and then also just to guide you if you are just starting off and haven't bought one, as to which lens is possibly better for you. So I think let's start off with this 100-400mm lens. I showed it to you guys previously. So this was the first Sony lens that I got with my A7 III, and I'm shooting with the A7 III on this one as well. And it was released much earlier by Sony as well. So when I did get my A7 III, I could almost immediately buy the 100-400 lens. So this is a G Master lens, so it means that the glass quality is the best glass quality that Sony does have in their range, and it is an extending zoom lens. So if you look at it, that's at 400 and this is at 100. Obviously the lens hood adds a little bit of length to it, so without the lens hood it's quite compact as well. So this lens is 1.1 kilos. So with the camera on, it's still under 2 kilos. I can handhold it one-handedly, and for the photography that I do, it's quite convenient because it's light and it's compact, and when I'm driving and shooting, it makes sense to have a small lens like this at hand. So it is a f4.5 to f5.6. At 400 it's at 5.6, and I think it transitions just after 200 to 5.6. I usually just shoot it 5.6 all the way through the range, so whether I'm shooting at 100 or at 400, it's set at f5.6, and that's how I shoot it. I bought it initially because the range on this is quite good for wildlife, 100-400. Although you'll find that for some of the smaller birds, or if birds are further into the bush, you will struggle to actually fill the frame with this lens at 400. But for general wildlife, larger animals like your zebras, giraffes, elephants, and the like, this lens is very good for your general wildlife. Then about I'd say 2 years ago, in about late October, November 2019, Sony released the 200-600, this is a G lens, so it's not a G master lens. So the glass quality obviously is not as great as this, and I think one of the other things is that it's a f5.6 to 6.3, so it doesn't allow as much light in as the 100-400. This is a internal zooming lens, so if I show you, it's currently, well, I must actually check that I'm framing this properly. Move this one out of the way. So it's currently at 200, and I zoom and it goes to 600. No extension of the body. It's all internal zooming, so that's quite a good thing. Obviously, it's quite okay. That's it without the lens hood on. Doesn't make it much more compact, but the lens hood does add some length. So obviously, if you look at these two, side by side, I hope I'm getting both of them in the frame. You can see it's a much longer lens. This one's about 2.1 kilos, so it's also a much heavier lens. With the body on, it's closer to 3 kilos. But what it does do with the internal zooming, it doesn't change its form factor. So if you look at the 100-400, it's almost the same size once you've zoomed out to 400. Obviously the weight difference comes into it after that. This lens is now my almost go-to lens because it goes all the way to 600, and because I love my bird photography. So you can fill the frame up much better with the 600, and maybe I can add in some photos that I've taken in the past with the 200-600. And what I do find is that I'm shooting at 600 with it quite a bit. If I need wider shots, I then just pick up the A7 III and the 100-400, and I shoot with that. I've got this on the A9 body, and it stays on the A9 body almost constantly. I thought I hear elephants. Oh no, it's just other people coming. So yeah, it stays on the A9 body almost constantly, and I'm constantly using it, so I get a lot of use out of it. With the A9 on, I find no issues with the tracking and the autofocus speed. It's quite quick to pick up focus, and then it tracks very stickily. So like on our recent trip to Giant's Castle to get the bearded vultures, after practicing a little bit, it was easy to just stick the autofocus on the vultures as they flew past, and get tack sharp images. I think what I do find is the 6.3 on this lens is a little bit of a drawback. I wish it could have been 5.6 at 600, but I think that may be asking too much of the lens. And what I do find myself doing is shooting at a stop down, maybe at f8 sometimes, just to make sure that the images are tack sharp. In low light, you will struggle though, because then you have to push the ISO up, and you bring in noise by doing that. So having the extra stop of light of 5.6 does come in handy. And what I do find is that the use case is that if I'm out on a night drive, I take the 100-400 with me, because I can put it at f5.6 and shoot at ISO 2000 without a problem. And I'll add in some images I got on night drives, because two reasons. Obviously the lower ISO allows you less noise in your photos, but on night drives as well, you have to be or the animals have to be almost right next to the vehicle anyway for you to see them. So, having the extra reach may not be that much use, especially when it comes with the sacrifice of that one stop of light almost. So yeah, I think just a word on the pricing. This lens is now selling at about 41,000 with I think it's a 4,000 rand cashback that Sony gives you, so it makes it at about 37,000. The 100-400 when I got it new was selling for 32,000, but is now, oh, when I got it new it was either 32 or 36,000, I can't remember, but now is selling for 51,000, and I think you get a 7,500 rand cashback, so that makes it about 44,000. So you're going to be spending a lot of money on either of these lenses. If I were to buy one of these two lenses now, I'd go with the 200-600. But obviously, because I have the 100-400 and I sold my Canon 100-400 to subsidize this, I really do love the image quality and the images you do get with this 100-400 lens. So having both of them in the bag for me is almost a boon, I would say, and I do enjoy shooting with both. I think the question then becomes, why haven't I looked at the Sony primes? I think the answer is quite obvious. The 400mm f2.8 prime is something like 250 or 260,000 rand, so 5 times the price of this 100-400. The 600mm f4 prime is, I think, $1,000 more than the 400, so it'll be about 270,000 rand to get the 600mm focal length with Sony. If you're not using this 200-600, is going to cost you quite a bit more. I think one other thing to note is, because this is just a G lens, I've sat next to Prashin and I've sat next to Jayesh, and they shoot natively with a 500 prime, and they can be shooting at f8, and I'm shooting at f8 as well, and the background blur on their f8 is so much better because it is a prime lens and the glass quality is so much better. So you do compromise on that when you when you using this 200-600 mil lens, but obviously for 31,000 or 32,000 rand, the price I paid for this lens, you get the reach, and not everyone is going to look at the background blur. You can move around a little bit and make sure that you're shooting at a distant background and try and get better photos that way. But yeah, apologies guys, so my GoPro battery died there. So if I am reframed now, I do apologize for that. Hopefully I'm still properly in the frame. So I think just to catch up where I cut off, hopefully, choosing your backgrounds and making sure that when you're framing, you frame with a nice smooth background behind you, or a background that's further away, but that's not always possible in the bush. So yeah, it's one of the downsides to the lens. I think the other thing that I have noticed and could be important to someone choosing between the two lenses, the 100-400 actually focuses at a much smaller minimum focusing distance than the 200-600. So even at 400, I think you can focus, I'll tell you now. okay, it's not on the lens, but I think it's about just over a meter that you need to focus on this one, and the 200-600 is possibly closer to 2 meters. I'll put it in on text in the video as well. I think what would be interesting to actually try out is these two lenses on a crop sensor body, because then the equivalent length for the 100-400 is 150-600, and the 200-600 becomes a massive 300-900 lens on a crop sensor body. So for birding with this one on a crop sensor body, it may actually be quite good. Obviously the image quality may suffer a little bit depending on the crop sensor body you're actually using. I want to try and get a crop sensor body and try out both these lenses on that crop sensor body, and also then try out the Sony 70-300mm, I think, that they make, which is more your entry-level wildlife lens, that then comes in at half the price of either of these lenses, and gets you quite a decent range. The 70-300mm range is one that I shot with on my crop sensor for a large period of time, so it equates to I think 100 to 450 if I'm not mistaken, on a 1.5 crop. So that's quite a decent range for an entry level setup. So with the A6400 or the A6600 and that 70-300mm lens, you could actually get quite decent wildlife photography photographs without having to break the bank to get them. So I'm trying to get it in a crop sensor body soon, and I can do the comparison in the not too distant future and put it up on the channel. I think so that brings us to the end of our Friday feature section. I just want to say thanks to everyone watching. I know these segments are a bit nerdy and for the camera nerd, but if you are watching it and you're not into cameras, I do appreciate it. Also, if this content does help you and it is something that you've been thinking about, please hit that like and subscribe button. I do appreciate the support for the channel. So yeah, until next week and the next Friday feature, this is me signing off.